Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another episode of a Sporked review. It's Halloween! Say hello, Snaky Bumface. Hello! Halloween has got to be my favorite time of the year. Because I can bring out all my creepy crawlies, and they can get love. Or, freak people out, as the case usually is. I am as full in the spirit as I can be at the moment. I'm wearing my green bat bow. I've got my Vampires Don't Feckin' Sparkle shirt. And I've got my friend Edward here joining me for this particular video. So, since it's Halloween, let's get into another episode of this scary book. Okay, it's not that bad. All the same, let's get into Chapter 1 of Unelven, Academy of Arcane Arts. Chapter 1, Enrollment of the Third Son. The trees danced in the breeze, and the wind whistled through their branches, creating a song of the forest. Wes took the time to lie in the shade of an oak. He had finally found a place he could calm his racing chest. Racing chest. Just imagine little ribs running. He knew where he was and that no one would bother him. Wes had been running for some time now, putting as much distance between him and the kingdom of Thorondor as he could. He was betrayed, and now he was hunted. It was not the crime that he was forced to commit that bothered him. It was the people who tricked him into performing the crime. So you're not bothered by the fact that you were tricked into committing a crime? Okay. The Swords of Orion, a guild of mercenaries and bounty hunters to which he belonged. Not anymore. Well, there's your problem. It's a guild of bounty hunters. Usually they don't do too well with sharing. The bounty hunter now wore a bounty of his own. Torre, the kingdom of the Wood Elves, was a neutral land. Unlike in Thorondor, outlaws were not hunted on sight. As long as one did not stray too close to towns or interfere with patrols, one was fine. Then again, one would be mad to stray deep within Torre, a grotesque land of marshes filled with creatures smaller than a thumb that could kill, and many much bigger that could do the same. Okay, so it's kinda Halloween-y. Wes rested on the border of Torre. He didn't want to get lost in the madness. Zeal's cry startled him. She swooped through the branches and landed on his upraised fist. Zeal had a distinctive black and white pattern to her feathers. She wasn't a hawk or an eagle, though very similar to both. So she's a falcon? Wes had never seen anything like her before he found her after a terrible storm. She was barely a fledgling, probably on her first foray out of the nest when the massive storm swept her onto foreign soil. Not even Wes knew what kind of bird she was. She's a falcon. I'd put money on it. Hey there, girl, Wes said softly, petting the feathers under her beak. What's wrong? 'Cause that's where you want to put your hand, next to a bird of prey. Right under the sharp beak. The bird looked outwards, cried again, then flew off. It was as if she was beckoning him. Come, come, my precious. Wes knew not to ignore his companion, so he picked up his quiver and bow and followed. The two headed east to the tree line. There, Wes saw a large caravan of horses, carriages, and guards. Zeal landed atop one of the carriages. Wes wasn't as bold as his bird, so he watched from afar. You're avoiding guards and people anyway, right? So I'm pulling a few strings here, and I'm doing it all for you. It's a weird thing to say to your bird. I don't give a damn. Ho ho! Zeal has an attitude. Apparently she can talk. Seth looked out the window of the carriage, paying no heed to Rock. Oh. Oh. So it's not the bird and her person. It's two completely different people. In a different scene that was not specified as a different scene. Formatting, it's important. I don't need a stupid school to teach me how to be a wizard. All I need are monsters to throw magic at and paycheck for doing so. Seth had very long, straw-colored hair. It was tied back with a black band. But is it a black velvet band? Shut up. He wore a black shirt with no sleeves, blue leggings, and shoes with wooden soles. Blue leggings? So he's dressed for yoga? Leggings are not pants, people. Leggings are not pants. The two had been riding together for a day now. Their carriage had only recently joined up with the caravan. By Orion's cock, son of Blozens, do you not remember what happened only a few months ago? By Orion's cock. Oh, that's great. I like this guy already. Rock always wore impressive clothing. Today it was a long white robe with a tunic as blue as the sky. Embroidered on the front of the tunic was the symbol of the holy relic. Rock had gray hair, though neither his face nor his body appeared aged. His nose was huge and looked more like a beak than a nose. His feet were not the feet of a man, but talons like an eagle. So his nose might as well be a beak, I guess. Of course I remember, Seth barked at him, and I remember to never let something like that happen again. Which is why you need to become better, increase your magicka, learn different arts. Only then will you not repeat your mistake. Rock tapped a talon on the wooden floor of the carriage rhythmically. Maybe next time you storm a maniacal invader's castle, you might actually kill him. Or maybe the same thing will happen and I won't be there to save you again. The memories of New Nazareth were still fresh in Seth's mind. New Nazareth? So let me get this straight. We've got Midgard, Orion, and Nazareth. Three completely different and pretty much unrelated mythologies. What world are we in again? He and two others had tried to take down the false king, Lord Magnar, and the entire Thaline kingdom of Nororne by themselves. They hadn't succeeded. 3 teenagers against an entire kingdom. Yeah, that'll turn out great. Strong work, Seth. Just shut up, Rock, the boy said bluntly. I'm already aggravated. You're not making me feel any better. Forcing me to go to a place crawling with humans and elves, the damned lesser races. It makes me sick just thinking about it. Wait a minute, I thought he was an elf. The gods have spread cheeks and are ramming cock and nukin ass. Wow. Seth's foreign tongue always slipped into his speech. He had grown accustomed to speaking the common language of the world, but old habits persisted. Hopefully that attitude of yours will be the first thing to go. How long do I have to be there? The school's year will end at the beginning of next summer. Yeah, I have no idea how I'm gonna pronounce these, so I'm gonna call them something else. I'm gonna say fluffy bunnies. Fluffy bunnies! I'm going to be stuck here for a year? The boy rested his cheek against his fist. Hopefully this place will burn to the ground. That'll give me a great excuse to leave this wretched hive. Don't tempt fate, son of Blozend. Fate is a bunch of fluffy bunnies, Rock. I've never believed in it, and never will. Rock sighed at the boy's arrogance. You'll change your views after your stay. The carriages crossed over a small ravine before the academy came in sight. It was a large tower, surrounded by 4 smaller ones. It shined when the sunlight hit it, which was why it was thought to be made out of white gold or ivory. The watchtower hovered above the tower above the tower, supported by columns. It was shaped like a top and was the base for a building on its upper surface. Towers, surrounded by towers, above towers, under towers, with towers. Towers. It simply floated in the sky, not spinning. Kinda hilarious if it did spin. The watchtower never moved. Not even the strongest of winds could jostle it. Outside the carriage, Zeal took flight to look more closely at the watchtower. Why are we back to Zeal? I thought we were focusing on Seth, him being the main character and all. So far, these two sets of characters have no relation to each other. So why bring Zeal back into it? And it looks like she doesn't come back either. That's the only other time she's brought up. Kind of a useless sentence. The horses' hoofbeats changed sound when they crossed the marble bricks that made up the path to the academy. At the wall that encircled the tower, Seth stepped out. He slung his boiled leather satchel over his shoulder and dragged a heavy trunk behind him. Seth sighed, though it was more of a groan. Then he turned and looked at Rock, who was still inside the carriage. So I guess this is goodbye? Goodbye doesn't mean forever, son of Blozend. I'll visit you again when the time comes. I know a man who teaches here. I'm certain he can help you. The coachman snapped the reins and the carriage pulled away. Seth reached into his satchel and took out a black eye patch. So he's dressed for yoga and wearing an eye patch. He wore it over his right eye, the eye divided by a long scar. So we've got a yoga elven pirate. Elven pirate yoga. Many of the other students were rushing to head through the doors that led through the White Hall. Seth decided to look around. He could easily run away and continue on with his journey. Yet, deep in his gut, he knew he needed to become a better spellcaster, and this was the only way. 4 statues were carved out of the same white stone as the building. Each represented a different wizard. One represented. Wouldn't it be depicted? Because it's more of, portraits rather than representations. One statue was of a man holding his arms apart, his fingers stretched as if casting a spell. The next was of a man writing in a hefty tome. The third was of a man in armor holding a shield. The last was of a wizard holding a sword with both hands, his head bowed, almost as if he were praying. Almost as if he was praying. Excuse me. I can't use proper grammar, apparently. Sunder Keening, Hannibal Traven, Tribonus Artorius, oh my god, Tribonus Artorius, and Helig Sacral. The voice came from behind Seth. He turned around to see an aged, crimson-eyed elf behind him. Normally, new students actually enter the academy once they arrive. He just got there. He was looking at the statues. I mean, unless he was standing there looking at him for, an hour, it'd be like you, getting to campus, on the first day of school. Let's see. Class in 2B, building 2B. Oh, hey, look, statues. Neat. What the hell are you doing out of class? The man wore a lavender robe, with the hood pulled over his head.
Hello, young man. Get to class. What are you doing out here staring at the statues?
The lining of the robe was red, as was the long sash that draped the length of the robe. Robe. From what Seth could see, the elf had gray hair, but unlike Rock, this color was from age. He also wore a thick beard. Let me just, grab my beard and put it on in the morning. I'm not a normal student. Professor Aeon! Seth turned to see two figures approaching. They wore suits of iron armor and turquoise hoods. Swords were strapped to their belts. They were battle mages, warriors who excelled in magic. No, really? We could guess that from the name. Essentially, they were his opposite. Whose opposite? Seth's opposite? The professor's opposite? Everyone is inside safely. Very well, you two. I'll stay here with this one for a bit before returning with him. The battle mages nodded to the professor before leaving. You listed the names of the students as though I should know them. You should. They are the 4 founders of the Academy of Arcane Arts. It was built to teach and educate mages about magic and how to control it, as well as to create and maintain peace with all of the kingdoms. Not within, but with all of them. They're doing a damn good job. Take a trip up north once in a while. It'll be an enlightening experience. The man narrowed his eyes and stared at Seth. That kind of attitude will not be tolerated in my presence, he said angrily. His voice made Seth shudder. The council is doing the best it can against the thaw line. Do not disrespect them. Seth gulped air. What is he, meow, a fish? What is your name, boy? Settard Razritter van de Rode. Razritter. I thought he was son of Blozend. Why is Razritter suddenly coming up? Seth bowed his head. All right, Sir Razritter. That's a weird name. I'm gonna call him Raspberry. Just 'cause I can. I am Professor Aeon. He bowed. I teach the schools of destruction and restoration, offensive and healing magic, respectively. Professor Aeon opened his robe, pulled out a folded black robe, and handed the robe to Seth. This robe is the uniform of the Academy of Arcane Arts. You must always wear it when you're on Academy grounds. Robe, robe, robedy robe, robe, robe. There's different words for this sort of thing. Garment, cloth, uniform. Seth dropped his satchel, unfolded the robe, and pulled it over his clothes. As soon as it was fitted on, it began to glow. The hems at the sleeves, the edges, and around the hood turned red. Why did it just change? You've just joined a house sacral. Seth looked at the professor quizzically. How the robe chooses which house the wearer belongs in is a heavily guarded secret. So we've got a magic school with houses and a magical garment that mysteriously chooses which house you are in when you put it on. Sound familiar? Your living quarters are in the northeastern tower, and it is there you shall retire for bed every night once your classes are finished. Does the also pick which classes I'll be joining? Does the also pick which classes? No, that task is up to us. The professor turned as a flare being shot into the sky and exploded into a shower of sparks. He just exploded! We have exploding wizards in this book! This book just got 10 times better. Well, it appears that the headmaster's speech is over. Wait. The headmaster's speech? Did we miss something important? Oh, damn it. He was just talking about fireworks. I want exploding wizards, damn it. I demand exploding wizards. Somewhere in this book, there had better be an exploding wizard. You set my expectations, Mr. Viskil. Professor Aeon turned back to Seth. No, not at all. You'll discover soon that the headmaster is a sack of... He coughed into his hand. Never mind. Your bags look heavy. Hurry to Helig Pillar and get yourself situated. Classes will start in 2 days. So why does he need to hurry? Seth picked up his trunk and slung his satchel over his shoulder. This year is going to be a pain in my ass, I just know it. Who knows, Sir Raspberry, Professor Aeon said, brushing his hand through his hair and pushing back his hood. You may actually learn something. Now hurry ahead. I'd like to stay out here for a little while longer. He was going to go anyway. Why did you bother telling him you were going to stay there? It's not like he's, attached to you now. Fine, do as you wish. Seth walked towards the academy. Sir Raspberry, Aeon called. Give me a year, and I'll make you into more than a mage. It's a little uncomfortable. I think I might need an adult. And that's the end of the chapter! So join us next time on a Sporked review for Chapter 2, Knowledge Through Trial. See ya. Rock sighed at the boy's arrogance. You'll change your views after your... God, why can't I think? I can't friggin' word. Can't word right now.